How do you shoot a good streeter?
Shooting a good streeter, like anything else in journalism, starts with good research. So you want something thought-provoking, something that's going to get a response from people that will be interesting to listen to. The other thing is you have to know what you're talking about. So you can't just go out and shoot it without doing some research and really knowing your subject matter. Then you got to think about your question. What you don't want to do is go out and ask closed-ended questions where someone's response would be no. Instead of a do you think, you might want to start with a how do you feel about something, and then you get more response from someone than, again, the yes or no answer. A streeter is just a way to give your audience a voice, to allow people to have a say on issues that are important to them. It gives perspective on public opinion, and it gives context, but in no way does it replace a reporter's story.
Who should you talk to?
One of the most important things when you're thinking about doing a streeter is that you really want to reflect your audience. Don't do all just men, don't do all just women, have a really good mix of people. Different stations have different rules regarding who you should key or whose name shows up on the screen when they're speaking. Really, to be on the safe side, have everyone say and spell their name into the mic before you start talking to them. So even if it's John Smith, it could be Jon instead of John, it could be Smyth instead of Smith. Have everyone say and spell their name into the mic.
Where should you shoot it?
It's really nice if where you're shooting it can make sense editorially. So for example, if you were going to ask a question, how do you feel about a big US corporation taking over Tim Hortons? Here at Sheridan, we have a Tim Hortons just behind us over here.
Put the person there with the Tim Hortons in the background. You can actually lose the sign, put a person here without the sign, so that's two variations. It's all about physical relationship between the reporter, the camera operator, and your interviewee. What you want is you have to be surgically attached, figuratively, to your reporter. So you just want to come over the shoulder like this. And, of course, have something pertinent in the background, which leads us to another common mistake. I call it the discombobulated hand. This is what you don't want. No extraneous body parts shown. Of course, you're way too far if you can see a bit of the face of your reporter. That's a big no-no. So what you want to do is just go up to the mic flash.
The other thing to remember too is that you're not always with someone when you go shoot a streeter or a moss. If you are, then the reporter always holds the microphone. You don't give the microphone to your subject. If you are by yourself, you might have to give that mic up, in which case you get the person to hold it. Don't be shy about asking people to move the mic. One thing you really have to get used to in television is talking to people about what might make your shot better, what might make your sound better, and that includes in a streeter as well.
So whose responsibility is it to ensure that the audio is proper? It's the camera operator who's wearing the headphones. All you have to say, you're this far away, hey, lower that mic a bit, will you, please? Good. And we don't want too much profile because we can't see both eyes. This is what we want to see here, like that.
One of the things that you often might encounter shooting a streeter or anything is someone behind you who's doing something really goofy and ruining your shot. Mark, how do you deal with that?
I try to maintain my cool because it happens more often than you think. You can either gently shift and be patient because they'll have their 2 seconds of fame. You can tighten the shot and just hope that they're not too persistent.
One thing I should point out is that Mark over here has been doing camera for many years, so he can easily walk around and shoot a streeter with the camera sitting on his shoulder. If you are just starting out, you really need to make sure you've got that camera on a tripod.
The number one way you can tell a rookie is, you know, the camera will be a little bit shaky. So I highly recommend your new best friend, the tripod. Set up the shot, here we go. Now look how rock steady that is. Now remember, don't set up the tripod low because you'll be shooting up. Don't set it up high, you'll be shooting down. What you want is to maintain the camera height as if it was on your shoulder.
So another thing to remember is also that you have to eventually cut this or edit this piece. And you want to think about, again, keeping it sort of interesting for the viewer to look at, which means you don't want to have everyone talking from the same side of the screen or the same axis.
So what we physically do is you just ask the reporter, Umar, let's swap axis, and he walks over to this way.
And so now I'm speaking from the opposite side of the screen, so when you're cutting something together, you don't have everyone talking from the same side of the screen. Generally, a moss is between 45 seconds and a minute long, depending on the time allowed in the show for it. that's usually going to be between 3 and 5 different people speaking. The clips you're using from people flow naturally from one to another. You want to make sure that what you're showing your audience actually reflects everybody you talk to, not just the people that you show. And what I mean by that is, say you talk to 10 different people, 8 people hated something, and 2 people liked it. You wouldn't want to show 2 people that liked it and 1 person that didn't, because that would sort of skew perspective on the issue. It would make it appear that of the people that you talked to, more liked it than didn't like it, and that wouldn't be true. So you've got to think about the editorial the whole way along.